All right, so let's get started. Welcome to the information session all about metabolic balance and how to reset your body to create optimum health within your body. So, first, I wanted to start off with what my story is. So, who am I? What is my story? So, my name's Jen Laurie. I am a passionate entrepreneur, 43 years young, a wife and a mom with 4 teenage children. Throughout my journey of life, I've lived in a constant state of lack of confidence in the appearance of my body. And this has led me to always be looking for a fix that would make my body be better, have more value and be accepted mostly by myself. And and this led me to a lot of yo-yo dieting in my youth. So what I did learn through the process is that focusing on my health is far more rewarding. And that I do believe now that body confidence follows movement towards optimum health. So, going back 12 years ago, when I was first introduced to Epicure, it absolutely changed my world. By changing how I cooked and ate my food, I dropped 30 pounds just by focusing on getting away from processed foods, eating whole foods, just flavored with Epicure. Then a few years later came the Epic Life program, and that was magical. It actually taught me many of the same values and science behind this program. It really aligns perfectly with the Epic Life, but I'll share about that more later. So I was doing really great, right? Well, the truth was I was not doing so great. It started when I turned 40 and my metabolism changed overnight and not in the way I wanted it to. Then COVID hit and it took a deeper dive downwards. Although I have continued to be healthy overall by sticking to whole foods with Epicure alone, no big scary health concerns, thankfully. However, my weight and my energy levels and my ability to focus has not been where I want it to be and where I know it can be. So now looking back 6 years ago, the first nutrition program I took was a certified holistic nutrition program through the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. And one of the programs offered as an upgrade for alumni is Metabolic Balance. It caught my eye immediately, and I've been thinking about doing this coach certification for 6 years, ever since I graduated. Well, I decided the time is now, so I jumped on in 2 feet and now here ready to offer this service to people like you who are ready to take your health to the next level. So let's get started. So, what is long-term success? So with Metabolic Balance, we say that it's an all-natural meal planning program that leads to new invigorating lifestyle, resulting in successful long-term weight management. So what is long-term success? So these are standards set by our governments that say that in order for a program to be considered successful, it has to produce 50% or more of the participants releasing a minimum of 5% of their body weight and maintain that loss for over 1 year. No other program that has been studied has achieved this yet. Weight Watchers, for example, only has 22% success rate. The reason why I mention Weight Watchers is because I know a lot of you are familiar with that program and have had to go back to the program over and over and over again, right? We see that often. I see people going back to the program and back to the program. And so the program is not necessarily having a huge success rate. So if you can guess, what is the metabolic balance success rate? It's 62.5% based on the people that were followed for the study. So we have a really, really high adherence to the program. And also, I mean, I just want to slide it in there. Also, anyone who actually follows the program, we have 100% success rate when you follow the program, as per many programs. However, ours is definitely different and really backed by a lot of science. So what is the foundation of our method? The foundation of our method is based upon the hypothesis that a number of different enzymes and hormones are required for the digestion of different foods. Every body is capable of producing these substances internally once it is provided with the necessary building blocks through the diet, just as described in current textbooks of biochemistry. Now, if these enzymes and hormones are restored to balance, then the body is also able to use its internal signals to decide which foods are still required to maintain this newly balanced metabolism. So let's go through the three things: hormones, enzymes, and metabolism. Hormones are our body's communication system. We have over 50 hormones in our body. When you get sleepy, that's a hormone. When you wake up, that's a hormone. When you get hungry, that's a hormone. When you get full, that's a hormone. Every function in your body is because a hormone is telling you to do something, and they are all connected. Enzymes are like your spark plugs. They are the catalyst to turn your engines on. There are thousands in the body: digestive enzymes, heart enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, liver enzymes, just to name a few. So metabolism, let's get to metabolism here. It's often used in reference to weight loss. However, metabolism refers to the functions of your cells, the functions that keep you alive. Yes, it helps with weight management, but it also helps to control things like your blood sugar, your cholesterol, and many other things. With the Metabolic Balance Program, it will be based on more than 30 of your unique blood values, your unique health profile, and these details are what is used to create your personal plan, your personal roadmap to long-lasting success. So metabolic balance is 100% natural. I truly believe that food is all the medicine we need. So so that's one of the things that I really love about this program, is that it is all about the food, because the food has power. So there are no prescribed injections, pills, shakes, proprietary foods, none of those things. You're not required to keep points or count calories. However, I just want to preface this with, there is a little bit of food weighing of portions just in the beginning of the program. And all of the foods on your food list would be available at regular grocery stores and farmers markets. In fact, you will even be able to use a lot of your Epicure and cookware. It's actually going to come in really handy if you're already an Epicure fan and have things like a steamer and delicious spices that don't have all the sugar and salt and hydrogenated oils added to it. You are going to be in heaven, because there's lots of delicious flavors that you can still be using. So let's just stop for a minute and check out a couple testimonies from my colleagues' clients. So as you guys know, I'm just getting started. And so I am borrowing some of my colleagues' clients' testimonies. I really hope that you will be willing to share your personal testimonies and success stories with me, so I can share those to inspire others to jump into the program and change their lives forever. So this is Jenny, and Jenny lost 100 pounds in just 9 months. I am just so excited to see results like this, because her whole self looks amazing. And one of the things that I really noticed, because I looked at the program and I was like, what happens when you lose lots and lots of weight? And what happens to all that loose skin? So with this program, there's an opportunity for the skin to catch up, so you don't end up with all that loose skin. Your body actually like regenerates itself in a way that you can still have tight looking skin at the end. So this is another gentleman who lost 32 pounds in 10 weeks, which is an enormous amount. And I think most of you are ladies watching here. Men do lose weight faster. However, we can achieve the same results. And it has been known that a woman can have the same results just as fast. It's just not typical. So I just want to be totally transparent with that. So if you look at the back of his neck, this is one of the things that I wanted to point out. You can see that there's kind of swelling back there. That's inflammation in the body. So you can look at his face and his neck, and you can see how much his inflammation has gone down. Here's another gentleman who lost 50 pounds in 4 months, completely transformational. He looks so vibrant and so healthy and younger. He actually looks younger to me. So not only that, I really wanted to focus on not just what they look like, because what's most important to me is the overall health of clients. So I am most excited about hearing stories like my inflammation is gone, my joint pain is gone, all that bloating, the brain fog, my energy level is improved, my sleep has improved. Um, Being able to talk about the ability to move your body in ways that you only dreamed you could move your body in. No more pain and bowel issues, no more just being able to feel healthier, no more digestive issues, no more body aches from fibromyalgia. I bet you know someone with fibromyalgia. No more of those symptoms that can come from an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's, which affects your thyroid, your thyroid, and the decrease of those blood markers like cholesterol levels and being able to come off medications. It's just so life-changing. And I really want everyone to have that opportunity to feel vibrant and healthy in their bodies. So let's just, I would just want to ask for a second. We're going to move on to the next slide and keep going here. So I want to ask you to just stop for a second and think about what recommendations do most overweight individuals receive from their physicians and their therapists. The most common recommendations are a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet, eating 5 to 6 small meals divided throughout the day, and to decrease your caloric intake. Right? Sounds familiar. I think you're nodding your head right now. So what is the metabolic balance approach? So the metabolic balance, we have no fear of fat. Okay, no fear of fat. We provide somewhat lower amounts of carbohydrates, but not too much lower. We just mostly focus on the higher quality carbohydrates and just take it down just a slight notch, not a whole lot. And then the next recommendation we do is to have only 3 meals divided through the day. I'm going to get into the reason behind that, so stay tuned here. And then food intake of normal calorie intakes. A low calorie diet is the biggest mistake people can make. The reason why is you leave your body in a deficit. You will lose weight, but as soon as you start eating normal calories again, you start gaining weight. And almost every time you will gain back more than you lost in the first place. AKA, this is called yo-yo dieting. I think most of us have been there and have experienced this at least one time in our life. The reason for this is because our bodies hold on to a protein memory, and most diets, especially calorie restrictive diets, actually create protein wasting. And then it takes our body extra calories to build that protein back up. And when it's building protein, it's also building fat and everything else with it. So with metabolic balance, there's no deprivation or restricting of necessary nutrients. What happens is long-term is your body goes into what happens long-term with a low calorie diet is your body goes into fat storage mode. So what we're looking for is the right foods in the right combination. I bet many of you have heard that before, right? Yeah, it sounds familiar to many of you. Correct. The science is the same as the Epic Life program, except with this program, it will be your specific food list, which contain the nutrients that are very specific to your body's requirements and to your body's specific amounts of food that is very particular for your body. So let's just take a look here to break it down a little bit on why we don't want to be having 6 meals a day. So you see here a person gets up in the morning, they have breakfast, boom, insulin. Then they go, then they wait a couple hours later. Oh, it's snack time. Boom, insulin. Then, oh my goodness, it's lunchtime. I better eat again. Boom, some more insulin dropping in. Then we have a little bit of snack because, our blood sugars are all over the place. So now we're crashing at 3 o'clock. So now we need to have a snack again, pump ourselves up. And then boom, more insulin, dinner time, insulin, after insulin. So you get the picture. There's insulin dropping constantly into our body. What does that do? Let's talk about that. So In studies conducted on mice, scientists at the ETH Zurich found that insulin levels that are continuously elevated through constant feeding suppresses a protein called FOXA2. FOXA2 is the movement stimulated protein in our body. It stimulates the urge to be active. So if you are eating constantly and you have elevated insulin levels in your body consistently, there's a reason why you don't have energy to exercise. This FOXA2 protein is what encourages us to want to exercise. When FOXA2 protein is up, let's talk about when, because that's what happens is it actually blocks it and it will reduce it when our insulin levels are high. So let's talk about what the protein does. What is this protein responsible for? So when FOXA2 protein is up, our melanin concentrating hormone goes up, your metabolism goes up, your insulin sensitivity goes up. And you know what goes down? Your ability to create fat. So you see how having your insulin levels up consistently throughout the day would affect your ability to burn fat versus store fat. So let's see what it looks like with 3 meals a day. 3 meals a day. These corks are your insulin turning on, right? So your insulin's only going to drop 3 times in a day. And you see these deep purple. This is where we want to like hang out in for the majority of the day, is in this purple section. What happens in this purple section when your insulin levels are low? Well, in the purple zones, this is when we're healing, when we have more mental clarity, when our bodies are functioning optimally. It's down in this purple zone. So yes, your insulin helps to regulate blood sugar, so we need to have it. However, it does interrupt a lot of hormones, so we don't want it to be consistently dropping into our body. Think of a diabetic. Influx of blood sugars, hard to control those blood sugars, and often we will see that high blood sugar, poor healing, poor circulation. There's no opportunity for them to heal because their body's always in this constant state elevated. And eating like this, eating constantly throughout the day also causes hypoglycemia, which one symptom of that is brain fog, which affects your memory function every day and will make you actually hungrier. So what else does elevated insulin do? Let's take a look. So elevated insulin leads to a number of changes. It will lead to an elevation of cholesterol, elevation of your triglycerides, an elevation of your stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, which in turn leads to elevated blood pressure and ultimately increased fat synthesis. In addition, fat synthesis is independently stimulated by the activation of lipoprotein lipase, which has the task of splitting off individual fatty acids from fats, so that these smaller units can penetrate the cell membrane and enter the fat cells. Living in a constant state of elevated insulin levels leads to an inevitable increase in building of fat, because this enzyme is allowing more fat into our fat cells, growing our fat cells larger and larger and larger. Similarly, individual steps in blood clotting are activated by the elevated insulin level, which can eventually lead to more frequent instances of thrombosis and embolism in overweight persons. So let's look at the other side. What does it drop down? So high insulin also has negative effect on things. Which hormones does it affect? The first one it affects is your melatonin. So if you're not sleeping well, it could be because of your elevated insulin levels. It also decreases DHEA and human growth hormones. So DHEA builds a lot of other hormones. These hormones and the hormones that it builds all have really powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects, and therefore are especially important for people with inflammatory illnesses. DHEA is a precursor substance for the synthesis of all male and female sex hormones also. So this is certainly the reason that women with hormone disturbances, such as during menopause years or during their monthly periods, report very significant improvements in their symptoms from the Metabolic Balance Program. 70 to 80% of women who are taking medication during menopause, typically estrogens, are able to reduce the dosage of their medication while following Metabolic Balance Program, or even eliminate it altogether. This is also true of premenstrual symptoms, often characterized by migraines or abdominal pain. This can also affect your thyroid hormones, affecting your thyroid. And oh my gosh, I know so many people that have hypothyroidism, even hyperthyroidism. A lot of imbalances with the thyroid is what we're seeing right now. Even men are affected as well. So men with low testosterone levels after andropause frequently report that during metabolic balance, they experience a return of their libido. And what else does it decrease? It decreases so high insulin levels decreases your body's ability to break down fat and be fat burning. That's the opposite of what we want. We want our bodies to go into fat burning mode. Okay, so what is the process? First, we do a consultation where we go through your total health history, your family's health history. First consultation is about 60 to 90 minutes, during which we explore goals and health concerns, what medications and supplements you might be on, and just to make sure that the program is actually a good fit for you. And if we agree that it's a good fit for you, then I would provide you with a blood analysis requisition form that you would take to a local designated lab in your area. Most plans are created electronically with our metabolic system, unless your case is more complex. If your case is more complex, then it's actually done by hand by our team. So it takes just a few extra days to be created, because taking it by hand is going to take longer, obviously. The timeline to get started can be as fast as a couple of days once you've got your blood work back and we've got all of your information submitted, and your meal plan will be ready and you can get running with it. I just want to note that having a nutritional consultation first is possible before you jump in. You would not be required to follow through with the full metabolic program. You can also just do a nutritional consultation first, just to explore whether or not it is something that is good for you personally. And either way, I would give you some recommendations that you can start implementing right away. If you decide that it's not a good fit for you, you can take those recommendations and use them and still improve your health in other ways. So let's take a deeper dive into what the program looks like, because I want to be really, really transparent with you guys. So there's 4 phases to the program. So phase 1 is where we start. And in phase 1, it's the preparation phase. It's only 2 days long, so it goes by really fast. It's super easy to do. We start with a colon cleanse because that is where much of the nutrient absorption takes place. And this will get rid of all the old fermenting foods, eliminate old cravings, and start you off fresh. So the very first morning, you will drink a magnesium solution, and you're going to want to plan to stay home because you're going to be visiting the restroom a whole lot that day. And though it's not that bad, it's not that bad. You just don't want to leave your house. That's all. You will eat really light food for the first 2 days. Think soups, vegetables, fruits, but note that there are 5 options of what this will look like for you, and you are the one that decides which one is the one that works best for you. Then we move on to phase 2. Phase 2 is the strict phase. It is the most important phase of all. Without this phase, we cannot convert the metabolism. So it is a minimum of 14 days. So with the 14 days, for those first 2 weeks, it will mean eating perfect, following the plan exactly. It is an absolute critical time for optimizing your insulin, optimizing all your other hormones and enzymes. It is the conversion phase, the phase where your metabolism is being rewritten. There are no oils. I just want to note there's no oils during the first 2 weeks, not because oils are bad, just no added cooking oil or salad oils just for those 2 weeks, because what that will do is it will activate your lipid metabolism because it's probably turned off a little bit. We want to activate it, wake it back up. So it will turn you into a fat burning machine. Don't worry, we are not eliminating all fats, though. Fats are still very important. You will likely have things like fish or cheese or avocados on your food list, which will provide you with sufficient amounts during the 2-week period. So then we move into phase 2B. So it's kind of like a little separation after those 2 weeks. So we will move into phase 2B, where we add back healthy oils and we continue to follow the meal plan with the guidelines in place. There's 8 guidelines. I'm going to go over those in a minute. So perhaps even adding in some extra food choices, depending on your particular health goals. The full phase 2 for most people is 4 to 6 weeks. This is the time frame required to see huge improvements on health markers, inflammation, and to really do that reparative action inside your body. So once we've reached your goal, we move into phase 3, which is the relaxed phase, okay? The relaxed phase is where you reach your personal goals or you've already reached your personal goals and you start expanding your food list and having treat meals. When you have a special occasion or eating out with family, you will not have to miss out. Don't worry. So this is a trial time. Phase 3 is trial time to see how your body responds to added foods and added amounts of foods. I coach you through the process, so don't worry, you will have a step-by-step through that. And in this phase, we focus on building your intuitive eating muscles, okay? Discovering which foods serve your body and which foods don't. I'm guiding you through the whole thing. And the long-term goal is not to stay in that diet mentality. It's not healthy to stay in that for a long period of time. The initial list is to get your hormones and metabolism in balance, but we don't want you to stay on that restrictive way of eating for too long because it could cause other imbalances in different ways. So then we move into phase 4. Once we've got the hang of that, we've reintroduced foods and we're really learning, we know how our bodies tick because you are the only one that's going to know your body best. So you will become the expert of your own body during this phase. Then we move into maintenance phase, which is what you do for the rest of your life. So you will learn which foods serve you, what do not. You will get to decide, are they a never food because you just feel so great, you never want to eat that again because of how it makes you feel, or maybe it's just an occasional treat food for you. Again, what makes this program different than other plans is I'm going to help you after and throughout, and it's completely structured. What I will help you, what I'll also help you with is recipes, of course. I will not just hand you a food list and walk away, but I know that many of you are going to be experts in this area of creating the recipes. So after you complete the program and are living freely and excited and you're energized with your newfound health, I will only recommend that you go back and do the cleanse 1 to 2 times a year. It's kind of like getting an oil change for your car. And if you slip up, because life will life you. So when life gets you down, you go back and you do the 4 phases again. You just start with phase 1 and you run through it. Only this time you probably won't have to spend a large amount of time in phase 2 because you're just kind of getting back on track. So you'll speed through it much quicker when you have to go back to it. So this will remain your specific roadmap for your specific body forevermore. So let's take a look at the guidelines because it's very important that there are guidelines and they're key for long-term success because we want to change our eating habits for the rest of your life. Because remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. So let's take a look at these 8 guidelines that we're going to hold on to. And during your coaching, I will help you to understand the deep why behind each of these guidelines. I find when we understand why, it's a lot easier to follow them. Like we just do them intuitively when we understand the why behind them. So for those of you who are familiar with the Epic Life program, you are going to recognize a lot of the guidelines. So I found doing the Epic Life program previously made it super easy to follow them because I had already built those into my habits. So first one is eating only 3 meals a day. We talked about why. You understand now why it's so important to eat the 3 meals a day and having that. And you don't want to eat more or less than your plan suggests. Guideline number 2 is to ensure there's a 5-hour break between meals. So we're doing a micro fast to make sure that we are in that healing phase, that fat burning phase for the most time. It also gives time for our liver to process everything and detox our body. So it helps our detoxification systems work optimally. Guide 3 is to make sure each meal lasts no longer than that 60 minutes. That is not a problem for most people. Most people do not eat a meal longer than like 20 minutes. So that's a real easy one to follow. Number 4 is begin each meal with 1 or 2 bites of the protein portion. So let's talk about proteins for just a quick moment. Why do we want to be taking our first bites of protein? Because one of the things that you'll realize is if you're pretty hungry when you sit down to a meal, our bodies, if we're not consciously thinking, we will reach for the item on the plate that will give us the fastest spike. And that will be our carbohydrates. And we don't want to do that. So you have to be very, very mindful when you're taking your first bites. This one has caught me up a couple of times. I'm not going to lie, because I am used to just sitting down with my meal and eating and not thinking about which particular item I'm going to eat first. So now that I understand why, this has been really awesome because it works. But what happens is when you take your first bites of protein, that will turn on your hormone glucagon, which turns you into that fat burning mode, and it will also keep you full longer. So you're going to get optimal results if you follow that guideline. Okay, guideline number 5. So be sure to only have one kind of protein at each meal. This was a really new one for me, and I had to take the time to understand and learn and be educated on it because it was something I had not studied much of prior. So you don't want to have the same type of protein more than once in a day. Okay, so I'm going to go through why on that one for you guys, because I think that one is new for a lot of us. Guideline number 6, no eating after 9 p.m. because we want to get that intermittent fasting going on in the evening so our bodies can be in the ultimate reparative state and we can sleep well as well. Because remember, when our insulin levels are high, our melatonin goes down. We are not going to go into those deep sleeps if we eat just before bedtime. Number 7, easy peasy, drink the quantity of water calculated for you divided through the day. So rule of thumb is going to be 1/2 ounce of water per pound of body weight. And though your plan will tell you what your specific one is, but general rule of thumb goes 1/2 ounce. Mine, I think, was just slightly more than the 1/2 ounce, like a couple ounces extra beyond that. But I haven't had any trouble getting that much water in. Guideline number 8, eat your fruit portion. We eat fruit with metabolic balance. Fruit is good for you. There are so many good things about fruit. So you will have fruit on your list, and you will either get maybe 2 or 3 portions a day, depending on your plan. And each day you will be required to eat an apple. So 1 apple every single day will be one of your fruit portions, and you eat it with your meal. You eat it at the end of your meal. Don't eat it as a snack. You need to eat it with your meal. Okay, so that whole don't mix your proteins and all of that, let's talk about that for just a moment. So the reason why the recommendation for not mixing proteins in the same meal is because of the biological value of proteins and what happens when we mix them, okay? So if we take a look at an egg, you see that all of our essential amino acids are in equal proportion, which tells us that it is 100. Okay, so the biological value is 100. What does that mean? It means that 100% of the proteins are used to turn into human protein. So we can utilize all of the protein. There's no biological waste. Okay, but when we move into other proteins, say cow's milk, for instance, cow's milk sits at 91 because the utilization capacity of dietary proteins depends on the smallest fraction. Okay, so the smallest amino acid is what we're looking at. So whichever one is in the lowest concentration, that is the biological value, because we only can use them in equal portions. So what happens with this upper half? What happens with this upper half is it turns into biological waste. So what happens with biological waste is or another word for it, maybe like metabolic waste. What happens to metabolic waste? Well, in the processing of digesting unused proteins, it increases the body's acidity. And I'm sure you've heard the importance of keeping your body alkaline, right? So what happens when we mix them? So we can see that some food selections would be a better choice for proteins, right? But all proteins, you know, they're all good. I don't want you to think that they're not good. But what happens when we mix them? Say we have milk and egg in the same meal. What happens is it will steal this one here, this guy here, will steal some of the threonine to increase it over here, which will lower the biological value of the egg. And then we will have an even lower amount of protein being able to be turned into human protein. So we won't be able to utilize. So we'll be able to utilize even less when we're mixing our proteins. And when we're utilizing less of the proteins, then we are increasing our metabolic waste. So let's take a look at what a meal plan example looks like. So you will have an example that looks similar to this, although note that your foods will look likely very different in possibly different amounts than what you see here. And this isn't like day one, day two, day three, repeat. It's not like that at all. It's interchangeable. So your breakfasts stay the same. I will also note that most people get an added breakfast. There's usually 4 breakfasts, but the breakfast is the only one that you can't change, but lunches and dinners are interchangeable. And you can cross the days, right? You could do a breakfast over here, a lunch over here, a dinner over here. You could do a breakfast over here, a lunch over here, a dinner over here. So you can really customize it. And I'm going to show you how to go through the meal planning process so that you get really good at being able to plan ahead. This is what your individual food list may look like. It may, keep in mind that you may have way different foods on your list. You may have lots more food on your list. You might have more variety. My food list had way more variety than this. And so you'll see here when we say don't eat the same protein in the same day, you'll see how much variety you have to swap it up. And so one of the things I wanted to note is the fact that preferences play a role. So perhaps you don't love all the foods on your food list. That's totally okay. If you have foods that you totally dislike, you're never going to touch, you want it off the list, you don't even want to see it on your plan, we can do that for you. So don't worry, we can make sure. And if, of course, if you have allergies or anything like that, we can make note of them so that they're not on your plan. And know that when your plan is created, you are not needing to eat everything on the plan. So what I did is I simply broke out my highlighter and I highlighted the specific ones that I was going to focus on. So you still get to pick and choose what your preferences are. And then you get a carbohydrate list. So you get a protein list and a carbohydrate list. You will get a big list of vegetables, and you will get this veggie lettuces are the same. So with this one here, you can mix and match your veggies within the same meal. That is totally fine. Proteins are the only thing you have to worry about not mixing. Your veggies can be mixed. That's totally not a problem at all. You may even have some other recommendations that pop up under some of these. And then here's your fruit. You'll have different fruit, remembering that your apple is every single day plus an additional fruit somewhere along the line. So yeah, this is going to be a nutrition plan where this is going to be your roadmap to which natural foods you should eat in order to orchestrate the biochemical changes needed in your body for you to reach your desired weight and health goals. Think of it as a food prescription. So let's review. What are you to expect from metabolic balance? Weight loss is most people's goal. However, alongside that, you will get better immune function. You will get a reduction or elimination for a need for high blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes medication. We work alongside your doctor to adjust it adequately as needed. And or perhaps you're not on medication yet, but your doctor's been warning you. This could prevent you ever requiring it. You can have better sleep, improved moods. There's a huge depression connection to the health of the body and the food intake. Less stomach and bowel problems, no more heartburn, reduced allergies and sensitivity reactions. Quite often, we will see people no longer have things like seasonal allergies and stuff like that. We see seasonal allergies and stuff like that resolve with this. This plan is super beneficial for anyone who suffers from any sort of metabolic disorders like PCOS or diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and many other health conditions, autoimmune conditions, that sort of thing. Less inflammation and pain. You'll save on money. There's no excessive exercise or heavy intensive workouts necessary to achieve the weight loss and fat burning. So what is included? So what all is included in the plan here? We're getting near the end here. So what is included? First of all, you're going to get a comprehensive medical blood lab testing that is unique to you. You're going to get an individualized nutrition plan that is 33 to 35 pages long that carries with you throughout your life. You're going to get a free metabolic balance app, which brings your plan right to your fingertips, right on your cell phone. And that app is also going to help you to have easy contact with me as well. You can contact me right through the app also. You're going to have accountability appointments with private coaching. And you're going to get email and text support from me. You're going to get monthly online group support through a Zoom session. You'll get access to a private Facebook group and personalized supplement recommendation. Now, this one is on your request. I know I said no pills and all this stuff, right? However, I just want to make kind of a side note because some people do want supplement recommendations. This is actually an area that I have training in. So I know that we said we focus on food, and though I do have to mention, like, we know that farming practices have affected our soil quality, and sometimes supplements can be beneficial for some people. So as an added value, when you purchase a metabolic plan with me, if you are wanting, I will include an assessment and recommendation of supplementations that can be beneficial for you, just based on my training and my ability to prescribe therapeutic nutrition through nutraceuticals. I also have a referral program, which is an opportunity to get your program for free. So now you're probably going, okay, let's go. Tell me how much it's going to be. But first, let's just take a look at a couple of other programs. So these are some other programs that you might be familiar with. And these programs are expensive. And I want to note that they have very low long-term success rates. And that is something that like we really just want to focus on that long-term vision, the long-term success, so you can have long-term health and happiness, because that's where it's at, is we want to focus on our health. So let's take a look here. So what are the pricing options as we close it up here? So full price, let's start with full price here. Full price and nutritional assessment is $150 for that 60 to 90 minute appointment. The full program is $1,200. But for you guys right now, I am offering a special limited time offer for you. So you can book for $100. So that is a significant decrease. $100, you can get a full nutritional assessment with some personalized recommendations to get you started. So if you wanted to start there, that's totally fine. And if at that appointment you decided metabolic balance was going to be the way you want to go, we would put that $100 towards the full program, which I am going to offer to you guys for just $1,000 for this limited time offer. And how do you earn it for free? Well, I do have a referral option where you will get $100 back for every person you refer that chooses to purchase the Metabolic Balance program and do coaching with me. So with just 10 friends, you have the ability to change 10 friends' lives forever. So you have ability to get your money back by helping improve the life of 10 of your friends. And you see how that could be a ripple effect. And I would love, love, love for that ripple effect to happen, where we could have just this wave of health and just this rejuvenated energy and excitement for people and in their health, because that is the most important thing right now, is our health. So thank you guys so much for sticking it through the whole presentation. If you are ready to get started, I want you to text me right now, special offer. Don't hesitate. If you want a nutritional assessment, if you want to start with a nutritional assessment, just let me know in the text. If you are ready to jump all in, let me know in the text, and I will get back to you and we will start setting up an appointment to get you started. Okay, so thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting with everyone who responds. And if you do have questions, you can always text me with questions as well.